Yes, hello everyone. Today I am just going to be reading some of my favorite television shows, movies, songs, speeches, and a quick surprise, and with a quick word at the end, so please stay tuned. Also, I will be getting a microphone very soon, so don't worry, there is the excitement of that. So you'll be able to hear my voice in crystal clear perfection. But let's begin. We start off with some of my greatest movies and television programmings over the past couple of years. And I start this list off with The Angriest Man in Brooklyn, a wonderful movie with Robin Williams and a few others you might recognize. And it portrays a man who hates just about everything, and he is diagnosed to live for a few hours. Now, be that as it may, I haven't given you much of a reason to enjoy this movie so far, but I do hope that you go out to see it and enjoy it. And also, this list will also be in the description below, so you can see what I am actually saying. My second one is Ruby Bridges. This is about a little girl during the time when segregation is going on, and it's about how she and a few others were or maybe it was her that was the first African American girl to go into a public white school, and it really conveys that emotion for the time period, and I agree with what it stood for. It is a happy ending in the end, and I think is pretty good. South Park, I think the series and the movie, I think everyone needs to see it. What they do is perfectly brilliant. Matt and Trey produced a wonderful creation, and I wish them all the best of luck in the coming years to see what they produce. I just think it's a good show. They tackle hard to real life issues, they say the truth, and they don't let anyone stop their creative process. Has Family Guy and The Simpsons done that? Yes, but not in the strengths that it has been. Next we have Maniac Mickey. Kind of the same premise, maybe not, but it is again around that time of the segregation of whites and African Americans. But this time it is a white boy walking into a town where one side is split up of African Americans and the other side is split up of whites. And this boy tries to bring the town together. And it's like a wonderful movie for that time period. It's a wonderful feeling of sense. Bowling for Columbine. And I forgot his name, but I think he is my inspiration. He is what made me want to do this in the beginning, because like South Park and the guy who did Bowling for Columbine, they tell the truth. They say it like it is. They don't butcher it. They don't hide it. They just do it as is. Thank You for Smoking. This one was actually brought to me by the Nostalgia Critic. I mean, me and him don't know each other personally, but I do watch his videos, and I do say very good videos, very good work, I say. But Thank You for Smoking is kind of like the film that everyone needs to go see. It's actually true to what it says. It actually compels to what the hell's going on right now with kids doing drugs and all that crap. And it actually invokes a pretty good message. I mean, I haven't seen it personally, but from what the review was, I think it was pretty good. The Help, that was a good movie, even though many might say, oh, that's just a female flick or whatever. Again, I liked it. Breaking Bad, what a good series. I mean, in the beginning, it was kind of like your typical run-of-the-mill raunchy style kind of crap AMC usually puts on, but as it progressed, it actually became smart. I was invested in the characters. I was hoping that they made it out. I mean, could the ending have gone a little better? Yes. But for what it was, I was actually glad that I sat and watched it. Next is Better Call Saul. Wally, that was a good one. Everybody knows the story of that. And wonderful movie, and it actually portrays kind of what might happen if things keep going the way they are. The Simpsons and the Simpsons movie, I mean, it kind of tackles some here and now issues, and if you watch it, it's okay. Futurama, why did they have to go and cancel Futurama? It was such a wonderful show for the time, and I couldn't be more happy that I got to see it, and I got to view it, and I got to watch it over and over again. And the movies were funny. It was smart. It was comedically drawn. It was creative. The ending, the last episode, it drew a tear to my eye. It was very nice. It was very I liked it. I enjoyed it for what it was. Monsters Inc. It's just a classic Disney of mine. I like it. The Matrix series in general. Yes, I know there's been a few picks and prods at the crap that they've put us through with these three movies, but for the idea that it was kind of progressing at, and I enjoyed it. Not a lot of people might say they hate it or whatnot, but I enjoyed it. Good Will Hunting, Groundhog Day, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Back to the Future series, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Great Mouse Detective, Footloose, E.T., Blues Brothers, Bicentennial Man. What else we got? Patch Adams. That one was perfect. It invoked. Even though spoiler, someone dies in the movie. I forgot who, but it was a very good movie. Robin Williams, Words of Destruction. I don't think this is a movie, but it's a comedy. And even though we lost Robin Williams a while back, I feel that he was one of the greats. He was one of the great minds of comedy. Not to say that everyone else is, but he was wonderful. I love all the movies he did, and I love the work he produced. It was just very exciting for me to see him act and to hear him, and I'm actually surprised at some of the voices that he did. Scorpion would be another one. It was a CBS show, and it was very educated for what it was. I liked it. I got a little invested to it, but I stopped watching it. It got a little, just was ahead of its time. Elementary, that's a nice CBS program show. I liked it. It was okay. It was funny. It was smart. It was actually very intense at some point. But now we're gonna move into some of my songs, and some of these songs, sometimes they have a message, sometimes they just sound good. But here, the Cheers theme song, Merle Haggard, Are the Good Times Really Over for Good? That one is like, is it really over? Will it ever end? Will it ever stop? Johnny Cash, Flesh and Blood, the one on the right is on the left. That is one about this musical group that had political differences, and they ended up splitting up the band. And the moral of that is, if you have political convictions, keep them to yourself. Basically what that means, if you're political but you're in a group, just keep it to yourself. The Man in Black, that one is, as long as there's hatred and ridiculous, like really upsetting events in the world, he will never wear bright and flashy colors. He will always mourn the ones that are suffering due to the stupidity of the world today. Some Days Are Diamonds, Some Days Are Stone by John Denver. Skeeter Davis, The End of the World. If Ever I Would Leave You, Robert Goulet. I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire on the Fallout 3 soundtrack. Joe Cocker, You Are So Beautiful. Okie from Muskogee, The Fight Inside of Me by Merle Haggard. Wax Fang, Majestic. Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. Daniel O'Donnell, Bringing Mary Home, and That's a Sad Affair. Close to You. Nat King Cole, Love. Old Hippie by the Bellamy Brothers. That one, it basically, it almost kind of comes back into, are the good times really over for good? It's like, some people just can't adjust to the way things are right now, the technological standpoints, just everything going on. And Bill Plympton, Your Face, as sung by Dan Costella, aka Homer Simpson. And that's about it. Now, here are some of the greatest speeches of all time. The first one is Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington. Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington. It is the second episode of The Simpsons' third season. The city of Washington was built on a stagnant swamp some 200 years ago, and very little has changed. It stank then, and it stinks now. Only today is the fetid stench of corruption that hangs in the air. And this will be one nation under the dollar, with liberty and justice for no one. The next speech is Robin Williams, Patch Adams. Well, sir, I live with several people that come and go as they please, and I offer them whatever help I can. Everyone who comes to the ranch is a patient, yes, and every person who comes to this ranch is also a doctor. Every person who comes to the ranch is in need of some form of physical or mental help. They are patients, but also every person who comes to the ranch is in charge of taking care of someone else, whether it's cooking for them, cleaning for them, or even a simple task as listening. This makes them doctors. I use that term broadly, gentlemen, but it is not a doctor. But is not a doctor someone who helps someone else? When did the term doctor get treated with such reverse as, "Oh, right this way, Dr. Smith," or "Excuse me, Dr. Scholes, what wonderful foot pads," or "Pardon me, Dr. Pedersen, but your flatulence has no doubt, no odor." At what point in history did a doctor become something more than a trusted and learned friend who visited and treated the ill? Now you ask me as if I've been practicing medicine? Well, if this means opening your door to those in need, those in pain, caring for them, listening to them, applying a cold cloth until the fever breaks. If this is practicing medicine, if this is treating a patient, then I am guilty as charged, sir. The committee asked, what if someone had died? What's wrong with death, sir? What are we so mortally afraid of? Why can't we treat death with a certain amount of humanity and dignity and the decency, and God forbid, maybe even a little humor? Death is not the enemy, gentlemen. If we are going to fight a disease, let's fight one of the most terrible diseases of all, indifference. Now, I've sat in your schools and I've heard people lecture on transference and professional distance. Transference is inevitable, sir. Every human being has an impact on one another. Why don't we want that in a patient-doctor relationship? That's why I've listened to your teachings and I believe they're wrong. A doctor's mission should not just be able to prevent death, but also improve the quality of life. That's why you treat a disease. You win or lose. You treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. Now here today, this room is full of medical students. Don't let them, he turns to the students, don't let them appease you. Don't let them numb you out of the miracle of life. Always live in awe in the glorious mechanism of the human body. Let that be the focus of your studies and not a quest for grades which will give you no idea what kind of doctor you'll become. And don't wait until you're on the ward to get your humanity back. Start interviewing skills now. Start talking to strangers. Talk to your friends. Talk to wrong numbers. Talk to everyone. And cultivate the friendships with those amazing people in the back of the room, nurses. They can teach you. They've been with people every day. They wade through blood and shit. They have wealth of knowledge to share with you. And so do the professors you respect. The ones that are not dead from the heart up. Share their compassion. Let that be contagious. He turns back to the committee. Sir, I want to be a doctor with all my heart. I wanted to become a doctor so I could serve others. And because of that, I've lost everything. But I've also gained everything. I've shared with the lives of patients and staff members at the hospitals. I've laughed with them. I've cried with them. This is what I want to do with my life. And as God is my witness, no matter what your decision is today, sir, I will become the best damn doctor the world has ever seen. The Newsroom, Season 1, Episode 1. We just decided to. Can you say what makes America the greatest country in the world? It is not the greatest country in the world. That's my answer. Sharon, the NAA is a loser. Yeah, it counts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit it with you anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money, it costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always? And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom. Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them, have freedom. And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth, there are some things you should know. One of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, third in median household income, number 4 in labor forces, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only three categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are without a doubt a member of the worst generation period ever, period. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? It sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not on poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouth is, and we never beat our chest. We built great things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars and we acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easily. We were able to be all these things, and we do these things because we were informed by great men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing it. Recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. And the final one is The Universal Death Clock by Spumwack. And this is actually from a YouTube video titled Universal Death Clock. And at 4:23 minutes, this is where he gets to the fifth clock, aka 85,000 years from now. He goes on to say that by the time this clock pulses, nothing will be the same. If we haven't killed ourselves by this time, every nation and religion in the world today will have given way to something else. Every human being who has ever fought or died for their beliefs, their religion, or freedom will have been forgotten. He goes on to say that the sixth clock, 27 million years from now, by this time, humans will no longer exist no matter what. Homo sapiens will have had their moment in the spotlight. As we reach the seventh clock, which takes 9 billion years, a massive asteroid will collide with Earth, causing a mass extinction. And Andromeda will collide with the Milky Way, causing our sun to move out of the Goldilocks zone, aka where we are right now. And if that weren't enough, our sun will expand, cooking the Earth from the outside in. And in around 3 trillion years, the sun will begin to shrink. Most of our universe will not be producing any new stars, and the sky will start to fade. And the galaxy will expand to the point where they cannot be seen anymore. And at clock 9, 1 quadrillion years later, the sky is no longer to be seen. As the stars fade to black, as stars and black holes begin to dissipate, our universe begins to breathe its last breath. And after the last star has died, black holes are remain to be seen. It is not until the 43rd clock that the last black hole has died, and there will nothing be left of our universe except the cold, dark void, forever expanding into nothingness. Link in the description below. What I had just read was movies, television shows, and the greatest speeches to me that were and still are what need to be heard today. Lisa Simpson, Patch Adams, The Newsroom. Those speeches were the truth that everyone needed to hear, but can't because some of us are denied the freedom to speak the truth. Or we as humans are too scared of our own shadow to go against the grain, fight for change, and get rid of the morons we put in charge of our life. Whether it be the government of the USA, or the state, or of a town. The co-workers that don't do anything and are still being able to keep the job, while you as a hard worker are pushed to do more without any help whatsoever, or an increase in pay or job title. And somehow, those who don't do anything or act rude and horrible to others still get away with it and rise up in the workplace. Those 3 speeches and many more are the truth that need to be heard, and be so truth that we need to hear, we need to hear these truths. We need to embrace the truth. Screw political correctness. That is something that must die. Political correctness, PC, it needs to end. And the Universal Death Clock was to say that and the Universal Death Clock speech was to say that all life goes the same way. It ends, and all that is left is darkness. So I ask something simple. If you want Dr. C to do live stand-up on stage and let people know, if you would like to see me do live stand-up on stage, let the people know. Let the people know. Tell all that you would want to hear Dr. C on stage. Because a long time ago, I was told that no one would listen to me, and that was by the adults at my school. And when I stood up on stage, when people were doing nothing to stop the horrific acts that has been introduced into our country, everyone stopped and listened to what I had to say. But I was told that no one would ever listen to me on stage. So, please help me. Please prove them wrong. Please let the people hear the truth. And I will close out this video by singing Bill Plimpton's Your Face. Your face is like a song. Your sweet eyes whisper and I want to sing along. Your features are in tune. Let's sing together and turn every month to June. Your face hums, makes me a happy fella no more. Singing a cappella, no longer lonely. Loving you only. Your lips with mine will rhyme. When you touched me, it's a symphony divine. Your ears, your fears, your hair, they'd be a melody so rare. Your face hums, makes me a happy fella no more. Singing a cappella, no longer lonely. Loving you only. Next week, I'll be reading a few of my favorite newspaper passages. Thank you very much. Dr. C out.